Hi, I am Melissa Fisher, and I am currently looking for work right now. In the meantime, while that is ticking over, I thought I would start my own side hustle. So I'm going to be teaching about quality and engineering on this YouTube channel. So yeah, today we're going to talk about usability testing, a fundamental skill in the AI era. Usability testing is something that I really fell in love with at the beginning of my career, especially with kind of a background in neuroscience and thinking about our brains and how we process and digest information. I feel this is going to become even more important in this AI era where we're going to have, new apps popping up all over the place. However, like, how do we experience those products? Are they easy to use or are they frustrating? It's going to be a really interesting to see. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about some fundamentals. This is a talk I've done numerous times, but I'm just sharing it for free on my YouTube channel. So first of all, we're going to talk about these two different types of things. So you may have heard of verification and validation, and these are two things really haven't changed over the years. So, verification is the kind of process of checking if a product is being built correctly according to its design and technical requirements. Answering the question, are we building the product right? So, this is where we do kind of we do a lot of kind of exploratory testing or test automation, all of that good stuff, and really verifying it meets those requirements set out by the business. And then we've got validation. So this is where usability testing really comes into play, checking if a product meets the user's needs and fulfills its intended purpose, answering the question, are we building the right product? So if you can get to grips with these two things and making sure that you've got a balanced view, you're going to be in really good stead for in your current roles or thinking about how you approach interviews. So I fundamentally believe that quality engineers and software testing professionals add 100%, more than 100% value when it comes to usability testing. I have heard, oh, you don't know, you're not a user, or, we'll let the UX team do it. But at the end of the day, you're a human being, you're digesting and, processing the product. So you can absolutely add value to the efforts thinking about how the user experience is in your product. So we're going to go over a couple of things. So what is usability, the common frustrations, usability areas, and then kind of a general guide at the end. So usability often gets sometimes gets confused with accessibility testing, but usability basically means, is it easy to use? So have you got a product? I'm sure the world is run by software these days. So can you think of a product that is not easy to use? That could be your banking platform, maybe you're ordering your groceries, maybe you've been doing your Christmas online orders. So, how can you think of something that really frustrated you? There's two examples here. So, on this book, The Design of Everyday Things, I really recommend this book. There's a teapot, and as you can see, the handle and the spout is on the same side. So, can you imagine trying to pour some water for a cup of tea? It's going to completely burn your hand. It's going to be really tricky to use and really hasn't been designed with, a user in mind. And the second one, you might use tomato ketchup with the kind of old style of bottles, and the one on the left is the glass bottle here, and this is the plastic one. So, can you remember perhaps you've used this and you've tried to get the last bit of ketchup out, and it's just so frustrating. So, you're really sort of lightly pressing it against the table, trying to get the last bit out, or using a knife. So, yeah, this plastic bottles just makes it so much easier to get the ketchup out. So yeah, we're really focusing on how easy is something to use. So we're going to brainstorm some user frustrations. So if you could maybe pause the video and kind of think about what are common user frustrations when people are using product. So yeah, just pause this video and write down some answers, and then you can compare with some of my examples in the next slide. So common frustrations might be you're really not sure what to do in the product. Maybe you're trying to do something in particular, maybe log in or register. I had a recent problem with my just logging into a particular site, and it was just so frustrating. I couldn't reset my password or anything like that, and I was like, oh, what do I do then? I have to call a helpline. So that was really frustrating. Another common one is waiting around for things. We are very impatient these days. And, if we're waiting for more than 5 seconds, we do start tapping our toes a little bit. Another one, it doesn't really help you with your task. I mean, what was the point of something? So we have maybe all seen feature factories where you've got loads of different features in the application, but none of it really helps. um, Another one could be can't find what you need. Maybe you're looking for something in particular. Maybe you're searching on the e-commerce website looking for a product in particular and you can't find it. Another common one is reading long user guides to figure things out, and or taking a long time to complete a task, or pretty much can't use it. So, for example, the teapot that I showed you beforehand, that's just really difficult to use. You just can't use it, otherwise you're going to burn your hand. So those are some common frustrations. So now I'm going to talk to you about some common usability areas. So I'm going to go over this in two sections. So we've got section one is navigation, feedback, performance, and error messages. And then the second one is learnability, memorability, affordances, and efficiencies. You could use this as a bit of like a guideline when you're next testing a product or reviewing requirements and thinking about these types of things. Um, so let's talk a little bit about navigation. So navigation is all about kind of exploring and kind of discovering information. So as you can see, I've given the Ministry of Testing one here, for example. This was done a picture some time ago now, but they had learn, events, community, and then these things down here. So it's really simple and kind of easy to navigate. Um, Maybe what you could do for this is go and find a particular website and have a look and assess what the navigation is looking like. So some common frustrations might be with navigation, you can't find information, it's very complicated and can't get and you get lost easily. It really takes a very long time to find what you need. And another common one is that you can't find your way back. So maybe there's not a back button, or if you click back, it takes you to the wrong page, whatever it may be. And what you can do in this instance is just have really simple navigation. So if I can remember rightly, just looking at I can't find my notes there, but it's just keeping it really simple. When you start to see sort of 8 menus along the top or something, it starts to get quite complicated. And I think from what I remember, it's about 3 to 5 kind of sections that you can have. So yeah, just really keep it simple. Make sure there's not too much. Another one, check you can navigate back. And if you're in a particular area of a product, where are you right now? Do you understand that? Um, so yeah, the recommendation here is no more than 2 tiers of menus. So that's another good one. And can you use the tab key to go through things? So thinking about that accessibility in mind. So that is navigation. Now we're going to talk about feedback. So what I mean about that is, are you understanding what is happening with the system? So for example, maybe you did something in particular and then you see a spinning task. So you understand that you're waiting for something. So, yeah, now have a think about feedback and what could be some user frustrations with feedback. So, feel free to pause the video and write down some answers you can compare with mine. Um, so, just some really simple ones is you don't really understand what is happening. It's causing a lot of confusion and it creates a situation where users make a mistake and it's really not the user's fault at all. So what do you do in this instance? Kind of understand the inputs and outputs. Think about, how does my user know what the system is doing? Is there error messages, drag elements, enable and disable, whatever that may be? But yeah, does the user understand where they're at with things? So the next one we're going to talk about is performance. So performance is all about speed. So we've got Sonic the Hedgehog here, so speeding around. So how long does it take you to do stuff in whatever task that you're doing? So slow systems are just so frustrating, and with there being so many similar products out there, if you've got a slowdown, people are just going to get really annoyed and go somewhere else. So it's like fundamentally important that you create products that have performance in mind. And often I found with working with products is that performance and kind of anything non-functional gets left behind. And we must bring these kind of conversations into the beginning of the product, thinking about requirements, the design, and so on. Um, but what you can do, so once so you can, especially what I've just said, is try and build it into the requirements, the design of performance requirements. However, what you can do is have a look at what they give you. So as you're exploring around and doing the tasks, anything that takes longer than 3 seconds, report it. What you can also do is create baseline reading. So you take a baseline reading of particular tasks in one release, and then they send out some changes. You can then compare the results to the baseline to see if it's improving or maybe not improving. So you can see if there are changes that are affecting the performance. Um, and then kind of do things to kind of affect the speed, whatever that may be. Maybe you have loads of users going in at once, those types of things. So next, I'm going to talk about error messages. So these are kind of related to a bit like the feedback, but I have seen a lot of kind of frustrations with kind of error messages. You want to do something quickly, and then you're getting these error messages, and they're holding you back, and you feel kind of like, oh, what am I doing wrong? And kind of feel kind of that blame kind of feeling towards you. But actually, it's not the user's fault at all. It's the design and how it's built. So error messages are fundamentally important. And there's a lot of mistakes that I see personally. Maybe you can think of some with error messages that you don't really understand what the error message is doing. Maybe it's a load of technical jargon, for example. So yeah, there's something around this error messages to get right. So yeah, so what can you do? So don't blame people. So you didn't enter a name, please enter a name or something similar. Don't use technical terms. Make sure that they're clear, to the point, concise, and tell the user what to do next. And also make the notice visible. So perhaps you've had this experience yourself where you filled out a long form and you get to the bottom and submit, and then you can't do it because you have to fill something out at the top, and often you have to like scroll up and find out what on earth you've missed. I think it has got better over the years, this, but there's still some products that don't get this right. So have a think about that. So we've gone over 4 areas now: navigation, feedback, performance, and error messages. Now I'm going to talk about learnability, memorability, affordances, and efficiencies. So, yeah, learnability is how quickly can you learn your software. If it takes a long time, it's going to cause user frustration, long time to complete a task, and it really doesn't become easy over time. Every time you use it is really frustrating. So this is one to really think about, and think about yeah, various things that I'll go into in a moment. Um, so yeah, what can you do in terms of learnability and assessing a product? So there's a couple of things that I would do is just get a pen and paper out and answer some of these questions. So how quick can you complete a task the first time? How quickly can you complete a task when repeated? And are there appropriate prompts, tools, tips to help you? And write all of this down and send this back to your team, whoever you're working with, on your results. Okay, so next we're going to talk about memorability. So you can do a lot of your own research on memory, but there's something called working memory. It's a type of short-term memory, and it's really a set of processes that allow us to store and manipulate temporary information. So can you imagine coming into, a product and doing something for the second time? Like, do you remember it or not? How easy is it? That type of thing. So, yeah, it's just really interesting, the whole memory aspect. Like, I would say some people only remember four items at once. Well, this was a study by Nelson Cohen in 2001. Um, a frustration is really takes a long time to perform a task. You have to dig into loads of user guides, and overall, yeah, you have to go and spend your time speaking to a support team. So this really adds a lot of cost to a business if your users, customers are doing this type of thing. So you can really lower the cost by looking at memorability. So, yeah, so what can you do in terms of making it more memorable? So, there's a couple of suggestions I've got here. So, limit choices to three or four, make it easier to recognize and recall it, use things like autofills and drop down lists. And if you can't limit things, then just group them into three or four. And really design with forgetting in mind. Look up or drop down boxes. So this is really, you could get people in your company, for example, perhaps they haven't looked at this particular area of the product, and ask them to kind of do a particular task. So like getting the first time users in is really important as well with this one. So next, we're going to go on to affordances. So, affordance is kind of a prompt on what can be done with this object. So, it's kind of like a cue, a hint how users may interact with something. So, a simple example is a door and a door handle. So, that the handle is a prompt, so you know that you have to hold it and kind of push it down. Um, but there can be a lot of different frustrations with affordances. I've got an example here, is where you've got a sign on the door that says pull, but as you can see, there's nothing to kind of pull it, so it's like a little bit confusing when you're coming to it. So this is what you want to avoid, the wrong kind of cues, so people have to think, spend that extra time thinking. So make it easier for them. So, yeah, what can you do? So, make sure the affordance does the right thing. Is it clear what you can do? So, there's lots of different ways that you can do this, but a simple one is the button. Is it active or disabled? So, that's an easy one to think about. Next, we're going to talk about efficiency, like how easy is it to do a task? As you can see, there's a gentleman. Imagine you've got a task to move this object from the left side of the screen to the right hand of the screen. This gentleman with the ball, you can see he's being much more efficient. So yeah, we need to look at that. How efficient is it for someone to complete things? So, what can you do? It's just really kind of simplifying things and keeping it as simple as possible. And you can really do a lot in the design phase of this. So, quality engineers, testers, get yourself involved and think about efficiencies and creating this kind of stuff. Um, so, yeah, a general guide how to help you. Think about usability as early as possible. You could use these kind of eight categories to think about requirements and design phase. Imagine how it's going to look like. So, I really advocate for getting involved in the design stage. Write down all of your observations, especially when you're doing something the first time. If you're experiencing that, it's likely someone else will experience it too. Also, just advocating for exploring and learning and kind of collaborating. So, yeah, so my key takeaways from this tutorial on usability is when your user needs are met, they are more likely to buy your product. There are lots of things your team can do to make your product easier to use. Have a look at those eight categories and also do your own research. This is more like an introductory course. So, yeah, go and find out some more information. And it's really so important to remember and share your initial reaction, as over time you get used to a product. So this is where often I've noticed people coming in to the first time in an organization notices things, well, they notice things in a different light. And yeah, overall, do not forget your value even in this era of AI hype, that you can still add so much value in thinking about things in terms of the usability, the overall experience, how people feel. So later on, I'll do some sort of some extra kind of talks covering kind of personas and other things that you can use in your tool belt as well. So overall, yeah, thanks for listening today. Please let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to cover. And also, I've got Buy Me a Coffee link if you want to support me in that way, but no obligations. Yeah, okay, thank you very much for listening.